All right, one of former President Barack Obama's longest-serving advisors is offering his strategy to help Democrats retake the White House. Dan Pfeiffer was communications director for the 2008 Obama campaign. He held the same role in the White House before becoming a senior advisor to the president. Pfeiffer's new book is called Yes, We Still Can: Politics in the Age of Obama, Twitter, and Trump. He calls for Democrats to be audacious, authentic, and inspirational to start winning again. Dan Pfeiffer is also co-host of the very popular podcast, Pod Save America. Good morning. Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Across the table. We're going to get into some of what you talk about in the book. But first, the big story, because, Gayle is reporting from the border there on this immigration issue. The Obama administration also struggled how to deal with immigrant families who would come through the border illegally.
Right. The question of immigration and migrants is something that is one of the great challenges that every administration has to deal with. And how do you find the right balance between your laws and your values? Ultimately, faced with a crisis like this, we decided not to take the step the Trump administration did because it ran contrary to our values and was simply immoral to separate parents from kids.
But the Obama administration considered it for a brief moment.
There was every idea was up there. As Cecilia Munoz, who led this issue for Obama, said it was on the table for minutes. We looked at it and said there's no way we could do this, and we did.
You're not a fan of the Trump administration.
What?
When you see
Hold the phone.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Breaking news here this morning. But when you see a moment like this, given the position you were in, when you guys were in the washing machine and you would look at the press coverage and you would say, gosh, they're just totally getting it wrong. Do you have any empathy for the administration as it tries to get its message out, given that you were often in the same position?
I have zero empathy for them because this policy is the perfect example of what sums up the Trump administration, which is tremendous cruelty followed by rank incompetence and dishonesty, because they have offered 5 explanations for where this came from. If it is their policy and they believe in it, they should own it and explain it. Instead, they're lying about it, and that's simply not acceptable from our president.
Dan, what do
no.
what do Democrats do in this moment? The president is trying to pin the blame squarely on their shoulders. There's some legislation that's going through Congress this week. What should Democrats do? Should they play ball on this?
I think ultimately Democrats need to work with Republicans to pass immigration laws that are consistent with our values, democratic values. However, we cannot allow the Trump administration to hold thousands of children hostage as leverage to get funding for the wall. So they need to do what they have been doing with the limited levers of the power we have. Go to these centers, demand to see them, talk about it, fight back against the Trump administration, be unified and tough. And they have a bill in the Senate, and I think they should demand a vote on that. And if Paul Ryan in the House put a bill to end this policy on the floor of the House, it would get 300 votes. You need to do that.
You say you want Democrats to work with the Republicans to create an immigration program in keeping with our values. But don't you believe from your experience and from what you've witnessed, because I think I've heard you say it, that basically you don't believe Republicans will be allowed to by their voters? So is what you're talking about, a bipartisan immigration reform, is that even possible given your view of politics today?
It may not be, but it is. Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, Donald Trump say they want to help the dreamers. They say they want to do these things. Let's call the cards. Let's see what they're going to do. Let's push for it. And if they don't, let's let the voters know that they decided to do damage to these children, to deport the dreamers, and let everyone know. But we should be willing to look for solutions, but we shouldn't compromise our values to do that.
The book, you talk about the way forward for the Democrats. Who is going to be the standard bearer for the party? What's that message going to be? You actually say the Democrats could learn something from Trump about his messaging.
Right. Donald Trump did a very good job of controlling the conversation around the election. Everyone had to respond to Trump. The only way even Hillary Clinton, one of the most powerful, prominent figures, could get press coverage was to respond to Trump. And so Democrats need to learn the lessons of how Trump used social media, used media outlets that were consistent with his ideology to control the conversation and raise issues. And I think ultimately we need to tell a story. It is a compelling, inspirational, authentic story about where we want to lead this country and why Trump and the Republicans are the wrong people to do it. We have to do that in 2018, and we have to do that in 2020 if we want to win.
Is President Obama doing something from behind the scenes in order to help that process along?
Look, as I understand it, he's going to be out there campaigning for Democrats in the fall. I think he'll have things to say when he's out there about what the message should be. But he gave us the roadmap as Democrats of what to do in his farewell speech back in January 2017. We need to organize, we need to march, and we need to run races everywhere. And that's what we're doing. And if we continue to do the work the Democrats and Progressives have been doing since Inauguration Day, since the Women's March, then I think we'll have success. But there's a lot more work to do.
A lot of interesting observations in this book. Dan Pfeiffer, good to see you.
Thank you guys so much.